What's up, YouTube? So I just got done recording this awesome Fibermesh tutorial, but I did not realize that my mic was muted. So I'm going to be kind of narrating this video as we go along. So I'm starting off with this speed sculpt of mine that I did a while ago, and I thought it'd be a fun little example for this Fibermesh tutorial. So the first thing I did is really quickly just blocked out what kind of style I want my hair to be with geometry. Of course, this is like super poofy and rough, but I got the idea down that I wanted the left side of the model to kind of wrap around the back and the right side to just kind of be flowing down. So I'm just going to mask out my area that I want the fiber mesh to be. Then once I get that general area, I'll refine it by taking away parts of the mask and adding a little bit more back. For a female character, it doesn't have to be too precise because a lot of the volume of the hair covers the roots. For male hair, you might want to be a little bit more precise. It's a little bit more refining going on. Doesn't have to be perfect. So now we are going to jump down to the Fibermesh menu and click preview. And we get this awesome looking afro thing going on here. And we will refine some of the initial settings under the modifiers tab. I think the first thing I did here was change the background though, so it's easier to see. So you just select a color, go document, and then click back. And that changes the background color. So now the fiber mesh is a little bit easier to see. And right now I'm going over fast preview. Fast preview is nice because it runs a lot quicker, but you don't get an exact accurate representation of the hair. So it's a good idea to switch in and out. And right now I'm going to change the segments, which is also very important. If you don't have enough segments, you get a lot of jaggedness going on your hair, and it just ends up being really hard to control. So I changed that to 8. And I just set the gravity to 0 because I don't really want the hair to be droopy because it's a little bit harder to work with. You can use gravity if you're trying to get a very precise form to your hair and you're trying to get a lot out of the initial settings. But for this, I'm not too worried about the initial settings because I'll be doing a lot of modification to the hair. It's more useful on male hair because you can get specific forms with the gravity and all these other options, and then you can just duplicate the hair and drag it around. But for female hair, it's a little bit harder because you have long strands to worry about, and you want specific shapes for them. So I just increased the length to 800 or 600 here. And I'm going to change the length variation down to next to nothing. I think I did 0.15. Looking back on it, I probably should have just went with 0, but that's okay. The rest of these things don't do too much. So I think I'm going to accept this and start working with the hair. this is probably where I'm going over fast preview, but I already talked about that. So we'll accept it, and I'm going to leave it outside fast preview for now. And at this point, I'm ready to start masking out areas of the hair and working with the bulk sections to get the form right. So right now, everything's kind of hard to see still. Right now I have polyframe on, and there's so many segments and strands that you can't really see what's going on. Even if I change the colors of the poly frame, it still is kind of hard to see. So I think what I do here is I change the color of the hair by just selecting a gray tone and filling the object. So now it's a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to mask out the right side of the hair. And this will be the part that flows over the ear. And I mask where I want the part to be as well. I want the part to be on the left side of the model. So now I just group the masked area. And I'll just remove the back part of the mask and group masked again, and that will create 3 polygroups. I got one on the back, one on the left, and one on the right. Right here, I'm going to load another brush that I'll be using a lot. So I'll go to brush, and then it takes me a while to find Groom because I haven't used this in a while. Right there. And I'll pick Groom Magnet. A lot of this grooming brushes don't really work as you think they would. So I'll try avoid using them as much as possible. The brushes I will be using a lot are Move, Snake Hook, Pinch, and Smooth. So right here I'm using the Groom Magnet brush to just kind of pull everything together. And I turn auto masking to 100% so I can work with the polygroups I set up while still being able to view the rest of the hair. And then I'll use the Move brush to adjust the length. And I'm changing the Z intensity of Smooth down because 100% Z intensity on Smooth affects the strands a ton, so I don't want to make drastic changes right now. So I'm switching to fast preview just so I have a little bit more of an interactive experience with the hair, because without fast preview it works very slowly. So this is without fast preview. You actually see the cards rendered instead of just a strand. So now I'll use the Move brush to kind of just pull the hair where I want it to. Again, I'm not going to use any groom brushes because they can be pretty hard to work with. Another brush that some people use is Groom Spike. It's similar to Groom Magnet, but it can produce similar results. Again, it's kind of hard to work with though, so I just try to avoid it. So now I'm just kind of work out the volume here that I want with the move brush. Later on I'll work on details and individual strands. So now I got that basic volume worked out. I'm going to do the same thing for the left side. Just pull it all together and then move it out to just the length. And right here I'm also demonstrating that the orientation of your camera has a lot to do with how the groom brushes work. So if you look at it from the front and then use it, it will actually pull the hairs towards you. So you want to be careful what direction you're looking at when you use the brushes. So I just look at it from the top so I can get pulled straight out from the model. And I'm pulling it out and smoothing it. And here I'm talking about preserved length. That just affects the move and smooth brush. So the hairs will not shorten up when you use any of those brushes, which can be useful in some situations. I think I use it throughout this video once or twice. So now moving on to back. And I realized that I missed a part of my poly group in the first group. So right now I have a problem where I have a lot of shorter hairs inside of this poly group that can be a problem. So what I'm going to do is just pull everything out again with the Groove Magnet brush. And you can't really see it too well, but there's a lot of short hairs in this group. So I'm going to use the clip brush to actually try even everything out for me. And what the clip brush does with Indie Mesh is it just takes all the points from one side of the clip curve and it moves it to the line. So after I do that, I can smooth everything out and try to even up the lengths. So I'm not actually worrying about that group right now. I think I'm just messing around with the back. But I'll demonstrate the evening out of the hairs soon here. So I'm just going to work in the form of the back here with the move brush. I think I use a snake hook brush here too. And this is kind of a good opportunity for me to perfect what I want the back to do as well, because I don't have the side kind of in the way there. So now I'm going to take care of this uneven polygroup with the clip curve brush. The clip curve brush is a little weird too because it doesn't work right away for some reason. You have to kind of mess around with it. Like right there you see me just clicking on stuff and finally it just works out of nowhere. So I just clipped off a large chunk of the hair. And like I said, that just pushes all the points towards the curve. So now I can smooth out the points so they're more even along the curve. And now my hair's a lot more even in terms of length. So after I do that, I can just use a move brush and pull it back out. I turned up the Z intensity to even out the points a little bit more. Because if you have a large concentration of points at the end of the curve, you're going to have a lot of jaggedness towards the middle. So you want the points to be sort of even. And the smooth brush does just that for you. It evens out the spacing of the points. So again, I'm adjusting the length with the move, and I'm smoothing it as I go. Like I just said, I want those points to be evenly spaced. And I'll just work out the form once again. And again, I'm not using any groom brushes, just the snake hook brush and the move brush. Just because you kind of know what to expect from those brushes, but the groom brushes kind of have a mind of their own. Especially since it uses a camera normal, it can produce wacky results all the time. But this is a general concept. You split your hair into different polygroups, you adjust the lengths, even it out, and then you can work on details by either making more groups by masking out areas and adjusting those groups, or you can use the brushes like Groom Spike and Groom Magnet to pull out different areas of the hair. But right here, I'm just adjusting the form still. So now I'll work on this left side here. And I'm actually going to start it off with Groove Magnet just because it's such a large curve I need to create. So I'll pull everything to the general area that I want it, and then I'll move it back. I'm kind of trying to even out the hair here because there's a lot of shorter pieces. So that helped a little bit by pulling out with the move brush and then smoothing it. So that actually helped me a lot to get a start to the curve of the hair. So now I'll just move it to where I want it. I'm just moving and smoothing, and I'll probably pinch the hair too, because as you move it, it kind of spreads out for some reason. So yeah, I'm pinching it here. So now I'm almost done with the general forms that I want. This is kind of the first step to any fiber mesh hair system that you're working on. It's just blocking it out, getting the general forms, then you can refine it from there. And I think here I'm using the Alt function on the move brush to add volume. So you just hold Alt and use the move brush to pull the points out along a normal, which is good for adding volumes like around the parts and the roots in case they are going through your model or something. Like I said, I'm doing the exact thing. Adding some volume to the top there. So now I'm kind of adding some extra texture to the hair with the Groom magnet brush. And this can produce some good results or some very bad results. Just be ready to undo if something goes crazy. But I'm just kind of simulating clumps of the hair. But as you see, the Groom magnet brush actually pulled down a lot of the parts of the hair that I didn't want to be pulled down. And I also kind of pulled the points so I have a lot of jaggedness um, at that area of the hair. And this is where it gets tough to work with because the move brush isn't really doing much because there aren't many points there for the move brush to actually move. So I'll probably end up having to smooth that out a little bit. You can see the outside of the hair is moving a lot more than the inside. And if you start off with 3 segments, you would have a lot more troubles than this even. It might be a good idea to even go higher if you're having these kind of problems. So again, just using the Groom magnet brush to add some extra texture to the hair. Like I said before, sometimes it's easier to actually just mask out small sections of the hair and just create new polygroups to work with. Just for the sake of speed though, I'm just avoiding that and just showing you some rudimentary details that can be added with using these brushes. If you want to get something realistic, you're going to have to spend a lot of time working on the details. So right now I'm kind of smoothing and inflating stuff just because a lot of these strains are very concentrated. So they're looking like a solid form. So I'm using the inflate and smooth brush to just kind of spread them out a little bit. And you can always adjust the previs settings. You can see on the right there on the Fibermesh drop down, and that will adjust the density of the hair. So you can always turn the density down if you have too many fibers. So I'm getting something that looks a little bit more like natural hair. Again, this is just very quick though. You'll have to spend a lot of time if you want something really good. And then you get some crazy stuff going on with Fibermesh sometimes that you can't explain. Right now I'm using the move brush, I think, and some of the strands are just like exploding. That's just something you gotta deal with Fibermesh. It's kind of finicky. I thought I had a mask on or something, but it's just how Fibermesh works. So just as a final example for this video, I will add another strand of hair just for a little bit extra detail. This is another way you can go about adding details. It's just adding more Fibermesh systems. So I'm just going to mask out a little area here. And this is an alternative to creating a new polygroup on our initial system. If you're not careful though, you can make it look weird because the densities are kind of different. So you gotta be careful. So again, I'm going to change the color so it's easier to see. And then, just like the first system, I'll pull it out. And then adjust the length with the move. And right here I have preserved length on. So I'll change that back to 0. There we go. And I'll actually use a Groom magnet brush to get this strand started. From there I'll snake hook it down. And as you see, even the normal move brushes can have some weird effects. But as long as you keep smoothing as you go, you can always pinch it when you're done. Or use the Groove Magnet brush to bring it back together. So again, I'm getting weird stuff going on with the move brush, but I'll just smooth it, pinch it, move it, do whatever you gotta do to make the clump look right. So that is pretty much it for this introduction to Fibermesh. If you guys would like, I could create a separate tutorial for male hair, just because the approach that you take to male hair is a little bit different. You spend a little bit more time in the preview settings or modifiers drop down just to get correct forms, and a lot of times you can just take those forms and duplicate them. So let me know what you think of the video, and thanks for watching.